You ready for the video?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, let's go. Presence. Now let's do one together. What is vibing? This is Vish and
This is Ashwin.
today we'll be responding to Sadhguru's video on
Intelligence and intellect, what's the difference?
do you ever find yourself stressed, anxious, or nervous? Well, that used to be me all the time, and then I found meditation. And now I've got hundreds of people on the journeys have been meditating for over 3 years. And I'll soon be coming out with a meditation product, so stay tuned for that. And so today I'm here with Ashwin. Ashwin, want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Ashwin Mata. I'm from India. Grew up in Mumbai, went to IIT Bombay, and then came to the United States for my master's. And after that, I've been living in Austin for the last 27, 28 years.
Awesome. And I think this will be a great video because the topic is intelligence and intellect. So coming from your background, I think we'll learn a lot to connect with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. And Sadhguru is a yogi, mystic, and visionary who's truly enlightening the world. And we both happen to be Isha meditators, is that the right term?
Correct.
Okay, so we both happen to be Isha meditators. I got initiated into Shambhavi Mahamudra January 24th of 2021. And when did you get initiated?
April 1st, 2017.
Okay, I see. So definitely a little while ago, and he definitely has a lot of experience with all of the practices from Isha and Sadhguru.
Yeah, let's get into the video.
Great.
Sadhguru, a lot of what you've said, you've related it to what the modern world is doing to us, in the way it's teaching us, in the way we are behaving.
No, I'm not really… See, there is no such thing as modern world and ancient world, okay? At every time in society, there is a certain set of people who are trapped in their own logic. And they think anything outside that is insane. Every generation thought somebody was modern, somebody was conservative, somebody was liberal, somebody was conservative, like this. No generation has not had the division. So, I'm not truly saying modern in that sense. Every society has that. Okay, let me say prudes and not so prudish people. So, being prudery, people are thinking in terms of somebody is restrained in his thought and action. I'm saying the moment you employ your intellect, you're super restrained. Silly things people are think right now, very silly things, socially, internationally, people think they're profound things because you have a constipated intelligence and overused intellect. When we say intelligence, now this little plant which produces a fragrant flower, you're discounting that intelligence. There is more intelligence in the air around you than in your brains. Yes, there is more memory in the air around you than in your brains. There's more memory in the epithelial cell of your body than in your brain. It's a fact.
So, the question I was going to ask was, I wasn't born to be trapped by my intellect. Because it's a tough question for me. It's like what you're saying is you're trapped by intellect, and I agree with you because a large part of our questions to ourselves is just, circles within the mind. The mind asks, the mind answers, the mind doubts, the mind asks, the mind answers. I wasn't born like that. And what you're saying, are you saying that is not the natural way to be? And if it's not the natural way to be, why did I become like that?
Because there is no such thing as human nature. Being a human being means it's a flux. For all other creatures on this planet, nature has drawn two lines. Within that band, they must live. For a human being, only one line, the bottom line, there is no top line. So there's no description of what is a proper human being. There's no definition like that. Everybody thinks everybody else is wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there is no definition. that this is what a good human being is. People are always trying to arrive at it. But when you impose the definition, all you will get is rebellion from many places. Every generation tries to arrive at what is a good human being, and the next generation comes and says, that's rubbish, that's not what… the way we want to be, and they want to be some other way, just to beat this, the trap of that, and they create a new trap. A new trap looks like freedom because it's a new place. After some time, you know the pain of that, and then you want to create a new one. I'm talking about employing your intelligence without the limitation of your intellect. The human existence is a phenomenal intelligence. See, right now you're here, you can't do it with your thought. You can't conduct your breath with your thought, you can't beat your heart with your thought, you can't make your kidneys and liver work with your thought, can you?
No.
They're way beyond your thinking process, isn't it? So I'm saying your thought is useful only for certain aspects of life. The thing is, you're taking it beyond its ambit and making it look stupid. It is not stupid, it's a wonderful process. The significance of being human, one of the significances of being human is we're capable of thought and conscious thought. It's wonderful. But a foot scale is wonderful if you're measuring your height, but not for the ocean. It's a wrong thing, that's all. Nothing wrong with the foot scale, it's very useful. If you're a tailor, it's useful, if you're a mason, it's useful, if for so many things it's useful. But if you're an oceanographer, don't go with the foot scale, you're going to waste your time and life and come with wrong conclusions. You're trying to use your intellect beyond its ambit, that's all. So, you will end up coming to conclusions. Rather than perceiving, you're arriving at conclusions and thinking that is true. Whatever conclusions you make have nothing to do with reality. You're making conclusions with the limited data of information that you have gathered. It doesn't matter if you've eaten the libraries of the planet. Still, what you have with you compared to what the existence is, what the creation is, it is just a minuscule of knowledge. With this knowledge, you don't try to make a conclusion. It's bound to be wrong. Maybe you earned a PhD in a university, but you cannot know truth like that. You cannot know the nature of existence like that. So the best way is to open a window and simply look. You see at least one dimension of life, the way it is, not the way you think it is. Because the way you think is essentially dependent upon the limited data that you have gathered in your brain, in a memory system rather.
Another beautiful video by Sadhguru, and I learned a lot. What did you think?
Yeah, it's absolutely interesting. Back in IIT days, I remember when, we were just crazy students, and we used to have a lot of debates and discussions on what we thought were intellectual topics. And exactly like Sadhguru mentioned, right, there would be endless opinions and endless viewpoints of something, whatever it was probably something very minuscule. And a lot of that was lacking from experience because, we probably had heard or read or had opinions, but, we consider ourselves smart, and that's why we kept debating. And it's only when you experience life that you realize that, a lot of that intellectual talk was just empty talk. What comes in your experience, what comes when you actually, as Sadhguru mentioned, when you open that window and you can see things the way they really are as opposed to what your mind is fabricating, that's when you can at least get a glimpse of, what intelligence is out there.
Wow, and thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I definitely very much connect and relate. I used to very much often confuse both intellect and intelligence. Especially when I was younger, I used to definitely put intellect at this pedestal, right? And even coming from a computer science background at University of Texas at Austin, there's definitely a lot of intellectual people, whether it's them pursuing PhDs and so on. However, as I've realized on this path, there is actually even a step beyond that, which is the intelligence. Intellect is maybe one small portion of it, but intelligence is a lot more vast. And so, as I've learned, actually, I just recently finished the book Karma by Sadhguru, and he even talks about chitta, right, which is the natural intelligence within you, and you can tap into that through certain practices and so on, and that will actually open your eyes up beyond anything that will come from a book, right, or anything from studying and so on. Now, that doesn't mean, as he says, that they shouldn't be valued, right? Studying and becoming educated is definitely important, and it has its purposes as well as roles, but at the same time, it is not the end-all be-all, as he describes. And it's really important to also just appreciate the natural beauties of the intelligence around us, right? Even I've heard, I forget the exact, I think it's called the golden ratio, right? That's embedded within a flower, for instance, with how beautifully it looks, aesthetically, that is. And there's a lot more other imprints of this intelligence amongst nature, whether it's a butterfly and so on. So it's very fascinating to really see how important it is to just be open-minded to this intellect, or to this intelligence. And I'm curious, with the background that you recently had with Isha and doing all these meditations, was there anything else that you've realized comparing the recent experience with, let's say, your work now or your IIT experience?
Well, so one thing that the practices have helped tremendously is to increase the perception. So I think that's one aspect which is probably not well understood, is that the level of perception you have comes from the depth of understanding of the intelligence around you.
Yes.
And this only happens through practices. I mean, of course, for some people it could happen naturally. Maybe that's how they were karmically inclined to be. But with practices, what I've been understanding is that, my way of behaving, my way of interpreting situations, my way of perceiving the situation is different, and that helps definitely in, if you're talking about the business community. We're in a highly competitive environment, and previously my reaction would be very negative to an adverse condition or a situation, where I would be, why is this happening this way, this is not right, this is the right way to do things, this is wrong. Whereas now it's more of a generic way of looking at that, this is what it is, and this is how it will be, but how do I work my way around it? What can I perceive and what can I visualize that can make my progress better? So it's a lot of introspection that comes in with these things, and I think overall it helps to really improve the quality of life, because that's something that you can't easily get. You can make money, you can have a good living, but with perception, the real quality of life improves significantly.
Very well said. And as I've learned from Sadhguru, it's really just realizing and focusing two things. Are you getting ready for the university, or are you getting ready for the universe? And the other similar thing is, are you trying to make a living or trying to make a life?
Yeah.
So it all applies there. I think perception is a key word. So thank you so much for sharing. With that, I very much appreciate you taking the time for watching, and also for you being here. And if you have any other video requests, you can comment down below. And would love to hear what you've learned from this video as well. And you can also comment that down below. And with that, make it a great day. Take it joyfully and stay conscious. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Vish.
Great. Awesome. That's it. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for your patience.